All right. Well, welcome, Gary, Trish, and Katie to Unbroken Veterans Podcast. You'll just kind of start off by just getting to know you guys, and I'd love to just hear kind of little background and then how you guys started Monkey Brain and what you guys are doing there.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was in high school, the young lad that I was pretty good at art. So at 15, I'd won two state championships, and one in charcoal, one in still life. And so at 16, I was walking out of the locker room and she was standing at the top of the steps. And I told my buddy, I'm like, whatever's attached to those legs, I want to meet. So at 16, we met in high school, and my art career went on the back burner. So 17, joined the military. By the time I was 19, she was 18, just graduated high school. We got married. And we've been married for 38 years in August.
Congratulations.
Coming up here soon. Thank you. It's a big achievement, especially these days.
Huge.
Big, huge. So no, it's a big achievement as 38 years. You don't hear it that often.
Yeah.
So anyway, our honeymoon was driving a U-Haul up to Minot, North Dakota. Horrible duty station. Sorry, those people in North Dakota that are listening. But yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. So we got there, and she's like, whatever we got to do, let's get out of here. And so we went overseas for 4 years to Germany. I was injured in the line of duty, had a major back surgery at Landstuhl Army Hospital. It did not go well. 6 months later, had a second major back surgery, and then they medically retired me from the Air Force. So 7 years in, lots of damage, physically, a lot of damage, mentally, some damage, that's for sure. And so we came back to Kansas City because that's where we're from, and our network was here, and we started all over again at 25. And over 30 years now, we've owned several different companies, and we've had some great success. We've had some failures. We've learned from it all. But when we sold our company 7 years ago, we sold one of our companies 7 years ago, and all of a sudden I didn't have things to occupy my mind to keep me off of, the pain meds and self-medicating and doing all those things. And my PTSD just started getting worse and worse and worse, just like almost every day.
Wow.
And so Trish went on a women's trip to Mexico, and I was left all to myself, empty house, empty nest. And the suicidal ideations just kept coming. Like I couldn't stop them. And so I was plotting it out like, okay, who's going to find me, just going through all of it. Right. And this is hard for people to hear, but I think we need to have this discussion.
Oh, yeah.
So I was pretty hammered on Oxy and Jack Daniels, and my phone rang. And it was my mother. And she said, I know you're struggling, but those paintings you did when you were in high school, I still have them. I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know. In the magic bedroom are some of my art pieces from high school. And she said, well, can you make me a new painting? I think it would help you. And so I said, okay, fine. I got mad at her and drove to Hobby Lobby and picked up a bunch of art supplies, and then just started painting. Well, I've had 14 back operations, 40 operations, a hip replacement. I've lost most of the vision in my left eye and my hearing in my left ear. And so for me to just paint for 13 straight hours was, to me, a miracle. I mean, at the time I was still on a cane, like I said, medication and everything else. And so it was, it just blew me away, enough for me to step back from the ideations and go, okay, there's something about this. And so over the next couple of years, I just started painting. And then Trish was like, hey, we got all these paintings in the basement. What are you going to do with them? So I started donating them to different charities, especially a lot of veteran service organization charities. And, it started out, they'd go for 500 and then 1,500 and then 4,500. And, and then all of a sudden people were like, hey, can we get some of that art you're giving away? Because it's a great, I don't know, it's a lot of times people buy the artist just as much as they buy the art, because it's that personal story,
Mm-hmm.
And, I would get up and tell people, what I was doing and everything. And it just started. And then the private sector side of it started pinging me like, hey, I need a painting for my house. And hey, I need, and so that really started to take off. And, Trish is a certified yogi. And so she does the meditation, mindfulness, all of those things. And the reason she went into that was because she felt like, hey, I can help Gary by doing this. And so she went through all the courses and got certified. So then her and I start like blending this all together.
Okay.
And then studying the different things and how it had effects on me. So the music I listen to when I paint, I tried everything. I tried listening to metal and rap and country and all that. And I landed on jazz.
Okay.
And the reason I landed on jazz is because there's no words. And words create more clutter. So just listening to the music and creating art. Well, about 2.5 years ago, a good friend of mine, Justin from the Battle Within, said, hey, let's have a meeting. So he came and said, hey, I want you to lead an art program. So I'm holding out and waiting on you to be ready and feel like you're in a place where you can do this. And then as we talked more, and Trish and I talked more, and I talked with a couple other veterans that were artists, and I said, here's what we're going to start. It's not one of those, this is what we're thinking about starting. It was just that laser focus that I used to have with our business that went away. Now it created this new fire, this new passion in me to stay super focused on Monkey Brain Art, what we were doing, and how the different processes affect people, right? Our class is a 9-week course. We meet once a week, with that cohort on the introduction to art. And, somebody might like watercolor, or they might like abstract, or like coloring books, whatever it is that they create their art. We're trying to facilitate helping them find their calm. So we went ahead and filed for our 501c3, and, Monkey Brain Art. It's a great title of a business. Okay.
Yeah.
Because what's the first question out of somebody's mouth? What's Monkey Brain Art? Or what's Monkey Brain? And so it's always, why Monkey Brain?
Yeah.
So Buddhist monks call an unsettled mind monkey mind or monkey brain.
Oh.
So just think of a monkey swinging through a jungle and it's grabbing for vines. Well, those vines are thoughts. And when you have PTSD, your mind is just, you're hyper alert. You're, in an agitated state a lot. It's easy to get to an agitated spot quickly. And so trying to find something you can calm that unsettled mind with, right? The way I look at it, for me anyway, like managing the monkey and calming the monkey works. But if you try to tell the monkey what to do, it's just like, for some reason, it creates this overflow of, anxiety. And that's when you get the truck on your chest, and because you're thinking, I can't do this, just you're making all the excuses because you don't want to have that pressure on your chest and having your thoughts racing. So We started the art class. That's went great. We have warrior art instructors that all but one are warriors and have PTSD. So recognizing when someone in class is, getting tipped over or triggered, whatever word you want to use. So we really try to manage the environment as much as possible. We want it very calming. So Trish will come in and she'll do mindfulness. So she'll talk about something that you should be mindful about. And then she'll do a guided meditation, which helps calm everybody, gets everybody settled in. And then we tell them, this is what we're going to do tonight. Okay. So why don't you talk about the mindfulness part and just an example of what you do?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you said this, but we consider warriors to be veterans, first responders, police officers, firemen, EMS, nurses, dispatch, and their caregivers. So we've had a little bit of each of those go through. We've even had a child of a veteran go through. She was like 13 or 14. Yeah. So the meditation and mindfulness part, the mindfulness, I talk about kitsuroi. It's a Japanese work of art. And what it is pottery. And what happened is back many centuries ago, somebody had broken the king's pot, the emperor's pot, one of his valuable pieces of pottery. And he was very upset about it. So one of the workers went and they put it all back together with threads of gold. So the whole thing behind that is it's now more valuable because it was broken and now it has gold in it. So, we tell that to our students that you may feel broken, but as you process through all this and through all your troubles and worries and anxiety, that you are more valuable. You're moving forward, you're learning lessons. So, we just try to give them encouraging thoughts to ponder throughout the week.
Very good.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's a really cool way to put it.
Yeah, it is, I think.
Yeah.
And Trish is great at that. I occasionally have to lead meditation and mindfulness, and I got this gravelly voice. And it's hard. I think it's hard to get calm when I'm trying to get you calm. I'm a pretty intense guy as it is. So, and so now, not only do we have that 9-week art course, we have started a photography course that's 4 weeks. So for people that want to engage and re-engage back into taking pictures again. And we tie a lot of that into the mindfulness of going out and observing and taking everything in when you're shooting that picture, and study your subject and invest your mental acuities in things that are positive. And so, that's been great. We have wood burning class now that we're going to be doing on the weekends, like a 1-day course or a 2-day course, which they'll teach you how to build a wooden flag that waves, it has waves, and it's really cool. So that we've got that coming online. And then our music program that Kara, one of our warrior artists, she went through one of our courses and was like, I love this. And, she's got a TBI. And so she had to relearn the piano completely because she lost everything. And so it took her 10 years to get back to the point of being able to play. Wow. But now she does instruction as well. So that's going to be an 8-week course. And by the way, it's all free.
Okay.
So we raise the money, we through corporations and foundations and grants and everything else, we raise the money so they can come to class and not be, a financial burden for them. We're very careful about being on the bus line so people, they can use the bus if they have to for transportation. We are trying to be as thoughtful as we can when we put all this together. Now, that doesn't mean, we're settled where we're at. We're constantly thinking and rethinking and having discussions about the curriculum and how we can level up every class, every cohort, every year.
And the reason, art is our main thing, our main focus, but art is a lot of things. And so some people always say, I'm not an artist, So I think that's where photography has been very popular, is people that don't think they can draw or do acrylic or whatever. They tend to, I'll start in photography. And usually once they've gone through the photography, then they decide to go through the art process or vice versa. So we end up keeping them longer. We want to keep them at least 90 days in the program. And now we have the keyboards and the wood burning. So, we just want to help them find a way to find their calm. So there's a lot of, everything speaks to us differently. So who knows? We have ceramics we want to do. There's a lot of, the great thing about arts is there's a lot of opportunity. So as we find opportunities, then we will offer it to our students. And, we've helped a lot of people find their calm, and we've had some great testimonies that, you saved me, I want to be part of your community now. And that's the other thing is, we're building community again, because once you leave the military, you lose that community, that brother sisterhood that you've, built. And you may be connected through long distance, but still not the same. And, I tell everybody that Gary, before we started Monkey Brain Art, Gary was involved in a lot of different veteran organizations, and he was always happiest when he was around those guys or girl. It was just like he felt like
my tribe.
That was his group of people. Yeah. They understood him. And so that's what we want. Even if you're not an artist, I say still, I'm not an artist in that sense.
I'm not an art teacher.
I'm finding joy learning different things in art, which I never thought I would. I was was like, that's Gary's thing. My thing, I love to cook. I love to do, there's different things I like to do. But actually, I like to do, I'm always saying, let's do art, let's go do some art. And so,
which is shocking to me.
Yeah.
But she's really taken to the fluid art, and we have one of the best fluid artists in the Midwest. His name is Casey. He's a Marine Corps veteran, served in Somalia. And he's taken fluid art to this new level. And so, fortunately, he's there to teach Katie and Trish and myself and, all of our warrior artists. And so, we really work on the community thing. I want to stress that again, because, those who serve, doesn't matter, military, first responder, caregiver, those who serve will eventually get severed from that community, whether they retire or they get transferred or whatever. So they're going to be severed from that community, and that's trauma. In losing all of your friends and the people that, they had your back through thick and thin. And so I think that is, a huge part of what we're doing. And when we're doing it, the students are unaware of what we're doing. But, when we graduated a photography class the other day, and people are hugging it out and exchanging phone numbers. And I'm like, this is beautiful. This is what, envisioned this day of that happening. And so the letters we get and the art we get, people create pieces of art and give it to the inner core of the business, and it's it's pretty amazing. It really is.
I think that is one of the most valuable things about a program like yours is we all get together because we go through hell, whether it's drill sergeants or deployment or whatever.
Right.
And then, but we all met because there was a formation. Everybody get formed up, and then you got these tasks once they know each other. You're still in a similar group of people when you become a veteran. The only problem is there's no formation. So there's nowhere to meet these other people except for programs like yours and some of the other ones we've covered. But yeah, well, a program like yours is so important for people to meet other people going through their similar situations or have been through similar situations, and being able to connect. So that's really awesome to hear that everyone gets excited and exchanges phone numbers.
Katie, our webmaster extraordinaire, created a alumni Facebook page. So when people graduate out, it's not the end for them. Okay. So they can show pieces that they've been working on, and I'm doing an art show this week, come out or whatever. And so we have that alumni only Facebook page where they can keep in touch with each other. Sometimes transportation is an issue. Well, this way they can get online and just, hey, I love what you're doing, and encourage one another. And then another thing we work very hard on is the pre-trauma. There's a lot of lessons that go into, hey, when was a happy time in your life? Visualize where that happy time was, and then I want you to do a sketch of that location or that person. Well, most of them will pick location because people are hard to sketch. So anyway, but that, taking people back far enough to where it's a tool for them to say, like for me, once again, an example is when I smell tomatoes, I think of my Aunt Stella, and my Aunt Stella watched me when I was a child, and we would go out into her garden and take care of the tomato plants. And so when I smell tomatoes, I just like, it takes me back pre-trauma, and those feelings of love and warmth that I got from my Aunt Stella, and so we really work hard on getting them back to a place that could be their home.
And it kind of sounds like, is that kind of what your goal is with the art aspect, is kind of, because it sounded like with your painting brought you back to that time where before you had all that trauma, and it kind of reconnected you with that, I don't know, yourself from your kind of childhood self.
Right.
Is that kind of what you guys are kind of trying to get in people? Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we've actually had people go through our courses that never have done art, and then they discover they have a talent, they're good. Right. And that's even fun to watch, like discover like, oh my gosh, I can do this and it looks good, Yeah. So that's always a bonus for everybody.
It is.
Gary also has a class that anybody interested, because we have art festival, but if they want to show their art, if they're interested in trying to sell art, then he takes them through the business of art. We always get that backwards. We sometimes say the art
of business.
The business of art. And so he shows them, how to frame and how to put the wire on the back and how to price it. And, just, it's kind of a personal thing, and it's kind of scary for, to put your work out to see if somebody thinks it's valuable. But we want them to, know that they're valuable no matter what. So, but we have a fun festival coming up October 8th at the World War I Museum. And
10 to 6.
10 to 6. And there'll be a band and food trucks and
kids project.
Lots of art to purchase, and kids community. We're having a community art project, which was a lot of fun last year when we did it. We put up a big, huge canvas, and people could just come over and paint a flower, any kind of flower. It was really cool. So we just went to the VFW's national conference. And so we did the same thing, but we did poppies because that's their flower.
Oh yeah.
And it was very cool. People, first were like, I can't do it. We're like, it's like 4 circles and a dot, so we finally talked a lot of people into creating the poppies. And so Gary's going to do a city scene at the Kansas City skyline up there.
And then Katie, her jam is doing a painting and then giving it dimension by doing cross stitch.
Embroidery.
Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. Embroidery. My bad.
Very cool.
Okay.
And so she's going to embroider a couple of just outlines of poppies, which signify people that aren't with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We're going to
And
donate it to the
national
the national headquarters, BFW, so they can put it on display. And so anyway, it was kind of cool because now people that actually put a poppy on there were part of art, right? They're part of our artwork.
Yeah.
So
and it gives people a sense of what what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And every day at the VFW convention, we at 1300 we would do meditation, 5-minute guided meditation by Trish, open to everybody. And so each day the circle kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because they're like, man, how come you guys are like having so much fun doing this? I'm like, because it's not work. This is a passion. And trying to all work together for that goal of helping the warrior find their calm. So it's art, meditation, mindfulness to help settle or to help calm the unsettled mind of the warrior.
We thank you for listening, and we hope you got something helpful out of this.
Right now, the best way to support us is to simply spread the word. If you know a fellow veteran who could use some resources to elevate their life, send them our way.
Until next time, remember to check your 0s, 5s, 10s, and 25s.